Hello everyone, let's get started. The goal for today would be securing an API with a JWT token. Let's discuss the environment first. We'll have a Visual Studio 2019. Then the next thing would be the .NET framework, and then for the API testing, we'll go ahead and use Postman. So you see, I have opened the 2019 Visual Studio over here. A Postman goes here. Let's discuss two more things before moving forward. Here's a package that we'll be using to decode and encode the JWT token. Here's a installation command. We'll use it along the way when we are working on it. There's a prerequisite here. You should already know what problem JWT solves and the difference between HTTP handler and the delegating handler class in the .NET. If you don't know that, don't panic. You can navigate to this URL here and see the prerequisites section. This will help you to understand this topic and the implementation in a more better way. As far as the JWT is concerned, it's just our goal is to secure the data transmission between two endpoints on a non-secure channel, and JWT is just a way of achieving it. So you have two parties on a non-secure channel and they want to exchange something between them. Okay, JWT says here I am. Okay, and if we know to secure the application, basically two methods have been used: the traditional cookie-based authentication and then the token-based authentication. This discussion for today would be the token-based authentication. Comparison between them is out of scope of this article. We will just directly jump onto the web API implementation. It's time. Let's just start the coding. I'll go ahead and create a new project. Click on File, New Project. Just type here .NET Framework. Okay, so this is the Visual Basic. We have to select the one for the C#. Just make sure you're selecting the one for the C#. Click on Next. We'll go ahead and name it. Says JWT implementation. Just a timestamp 9:37. Place it in the solution. The framework looks good. Click on Create. We selected the Web API. Everything looks good. Just click on Create. So while it takes a while to create the project. So the default layout of the project is created. We have the very first thing we have to do is install one of the package. I'll go into the tools, NoGood Package Manager console. If I just click on clear, here's installed as package. You'll have this in the description article. It will be included, the command. Click on enter. It's going to install this package. Meanwhile, we can go ahead and we need two model classes. Right click on it, add. The very first thing we need is a login request class, and then the second one will be the login response. Okay, you can see the package was installed, so good. I'll switch back to the login request. We have to add two properties in it. The username property, and then the password. Switching back to login response. Here we also need two properties. This is the response, so we will definitely need a token, and then we will also need HTTP response message, just in case the authentication fails, so we can reply it. And you do need these two imports on the top. It looks good. Let's go ahead and add a constructor. in the login response. Okay, looks good. Next thing is we have to add a delegating handler. Okay, if until this point you don't know what's the purpose of delegating handler is, I do mention at the start of the article that visit that URL that I provided earlier in the early part of the video and make sure you understand the concept of delegating handler. Okay, so what we are essentially going to do is we're going to create a delegating handler over here. I'll just add a new class at the base level. You can essentially add it anywhere you want. I'll name it a token handler, and this token handler class will be extended from the delegating handler class. And what happened is we override the asynchronous message that is present in this delegating handler. So let's go ahead and get started with the overriding the send asynchronous message. So if you see here, I do need to add more imports over here. Okay, so it looks good. If you see a try retrieve token, so we have to implement this method here. This is a string that we placed over here. In the actual environment, we won't be placing it in the code. Instead, you can, in case of Azure, you can save it in the Azure Key Vault. If you coming down here, these are some of the claims in it, and this is the lifetime validator. If you scroll down, you'll see that we are checking if the token expires, and then we do have to implement the try retrieve token method. So inside the try retrieve token method, what we essentially does is we read the bearer token that's sent by the client. It can, in our case, it would be a postman, and it can be an application. So this looks good. I'll go ahead and click Control Shift B to build the project. Next thing would be we'll add a controller, a login controller in this one. Essentially what this controller will use this controller to generate the token. It would be based on the API controller. I have to actually change this one, add the included APIs that I need. So we have a namespace, public class, oh, missing a bracket. There you go. So the very first thing we have to add is one of the method here. It would be authenticate action method. If you see over here, we have a login request. We'll be using implementation.model, but essentially we receive the username and password over here. In our case, we are just saying, hey, if the password is admin, then the credentials are good. But in the actual implementation, you'll go ahead and verify from the database standpoint. Create token method, we do have to, this is the method that will be generating the token after verifying that everything looks good, and then you can see here it's returning everything. In this method, we will go ahead and generate the token. So in this one, the thing that you need to notice in this one is we are actually, here's the issue that, and then how long it take to expire the token. You can change it to second, minutes, or depending on your requirement. This should be a exactly same string or the secret key that we used it in the token validator, because this method actually generates the token and then we use the same key inside the token validator over here to verify it. So we need to make sure that we are using the same key. What I'll do is I'll just click on Control Shift B. Okay, everything looks good. Now we'll go ahead and use the postman, send a request over here and get the token. If you see over here, I have opened obtain token. Let's just put a debug point over here and click on start debugging. If I come into the postman over here, you should be able to see that I have put a JSON in the body. The request type would be a post call, and then here it would be a URL. So it's still running. So I'll go ahead and change the port number here. It should be 44300/API/login/authenticate. So login is your controller and authenticate is the, if you see on the left side, authenticate is the action method. We are using a post call and we are sending a username and the password. If I click on send, you see it received the request, and you can press F10 to navigate it through. Okay, you see the token is created. Continue. We receive the token over here. So we are receiving the token right now. So next, I'll go ahead and stop it. Now we have to use this one somewhere, right? I'll go into the values controller. I want to make sure that this is not open. So I'll put, so the way we secure is we'll put in authorize attribute on top of it. So what this authorize attribute does is do this, make sure that only valid users can access this one. So if I click on F5 right now, it's running. We'll go back and open the postman here. We do have to generate the token again. If I click on send, it will go into the authenticate. Just let it go. We receive the new token. Here's a new token. And if I'm going back here, this is the method that I want to access. Okay. And the URL will be 44300 API, and then the values is the controller name. So if I go into here, it will try to call this method, and it is secure by authorized attribute. So if I just if you see over here, if I go back, copy this one, come back here, you can see from the earlier implementation this will be a wrong. I'll remove this one, paste it here, save it, click on send. Authorization has been denied. Okay, now let's go back and create the token again. Possibly something wrong with the token. We'll click on send. Okay, here is a new, we have to make sure that you're not copying the commas. I'm coming, go ahead and paste the token over here, click on save, go ahead and click on send. It's still giving. So it's if I go back here, you'll see it's still saying authorization denied for this request. So what essentially we missed here is we have to add this validator in the pipeline. So I'll go back into the app_start, go into the web API config, and here we actually have to add the token validation in the pipeline, saying config dot message handlers dot add and token validation handler. So this one was missing. Now should be good. Running it again, we'll do the same process. Get the token first, and then use that token to access the endpoint. Since it's the same 44300, click on send, click on continue, and then here's a new JWT token. Come back here, we'll remove this one, put it here. You do have to make sure in this drop down that you select the bearer token authentication. Okay, and now we'll click on send again. Here you go. So we are able to see value 1 and value 2 inside the values controller. Now let's say someone kind of a intercept and change. We'll try to add and change this token. So if I change it and kind of click on send, you'll see we are getting 4.1 authorized. I'll go ahead and stop it. So we essentially are able to secure the endpoint using the JWT token, and make sure you choose the authorized attribute. You can place it on top of controller, or you can come back and you can individually place it on each action itself. That's all for today. I'll include the code part and the article part in the description. If you like this one, make sure you subscribe. Thanks.